Hi there, you're watching Dukascopy TV and I'm Darren McDermott. The SNB left rates unchanged and pledged to keep defending its ceiling on the franc as the ECB stimulus campaign for the euro region sustains pressure on the safe haven currency. I'm joined today by Julien Manceaux from ING. So Julien, how big is the risk for massive appreciation pressure?
Well, so in the short run, not really, because the main decision by the ECB outside the interest rates was to increase the liquidity in the euro system. That will only start in the third quarter, so as from September. So it's only by then that the euro will probably depreciate more than it has already did against other currencies, including the Swiss franc. So, which means that we cannot exclude further interventions by the SNB later this year, so mostly in the last quarter of the year. And we saw this morning that the SNB was more alert than in March about that, as the sentence "we stand ready to act with the utmost determination" reappeared, whereas it had been dropped from the communiques for 1 year now.
And Julien, what do you think are the main downside risks that remain?
It's clear that for the SNB, the main risk lies in the fact that the major currency areas are in different phases of the monetary policy cycle, like they said this morning. So that this poses a danger of greater volatility in the financial and foreign exchange markets. And so clearly, once the US start to hike rates in mid 2015, while the eurozone will still be with close to zero interest rates, this could prompt some tensions on FX. On exchange rates.
The IMF said the SNB should consider imposing a charge on sight deposits of commercial banks if the franc strengthens against the euro. Now, what do you think, Julien?
What is certain is that the extent of the SNB power in terms of exchange intervention in later this year is more limited than in 2010, because you have a SNB balance sheet which is at 90% of GDP, which is an historical high, and so they cannot intervene as much as they would want. So probably that beyond a certain level of intervention, they will have to find other tools to limit Swiss franc holdings by foreigners, and that could certainly be a way of doing it. So it's certainly not excluded if the tensions are too high later this year.
The SNB today said the country's big banks had made significant progress improving their capital positions over the past year. Now they urge lenders to continue shoring up their leverage ratios. Julien, do you think these comments mark a softening in the Swiss central bank's tone?
Well, not really, because it is clear that the SNB is still stressing that all those ratios are still quite below the level required from 2019 onwards. So they clearly expect the improvements to continue, and even if the imbalances on the real estate market have slowed down a little bit in recent quarters. The SNB is clearly envisaging some more measures to first to give banks stronger incentives to pursue more cautious mortgage lending policy for domestic banks especially, and they showed concerns this morning about the interest rate risk exposure, especially of domestic banks, that would require more appropriate capital in the future, as they said. So it's certainly not to be taken as a softening as their point.
And Julien, what are your thoughts on the Swiss housing market? Do you think there is still a risk of a further build-up of imbalances on the Swiss mortgage and real estate markets?
Clearly, if there is a stabilization on the growth of the mortgage production, it's still far too high compared to the economic fundamentals. So, which means that in fact imbalances are still building up. They are just building up a bit slowlier than in the past. So clearly the risks are still there.
Julien, it was a pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you very much for your time. Well, viewers, do stay tuned. Do not go anywhere, as we have plenty more just like this heading your way. See you very soon.